Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners, thank you again for joining us. I am Vic. I'm here with Nancy.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, thank you all so much for your support, for tuning in. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a regular, this is going to be a real treat. It's a really incestuous, um, self-serving purpose today, as I've got a couple of Amtrackers on board. Nancy's in absolute hell. I see the eye rolling big time, and it's justified. But this is going to be yat yass all day for the next, however long we go. This is going to be talking about Amtrak amphibiosity. This is going to be amazing for me. Hopefully, it's amazing for you. But yeah, if you're anti-Amtrak, I'm sorry. But anyways, that being said, I've got Colonel John Atkinson retired. I've got Sergeant Major Marc Chabot retired on the show. Gentlemen, yes, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Beck, it's great to be here. And if anybody out there is anti-Amtrak, they can hit the bricks, or they can stick around and we'll disabuse them of that foolishness.
Yeah,
yes,
they don't get. Yeah, they don't get to put their cold drinks in our coolers.
Yeah, they can walk.
yes,
I mean,
everybody. It's the best MOS I ever had.
are there really people out there who are anti-Amtrak? I don't think that's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
all the grunts that didn't get the MOS at the basic school, the pilots that look down and go, God damn, that's a sexy beast down there. Yeah, there's plenty of people. And then at the club, yeah, everybody, when the trackers swagger into the E Club or the O Club, it's over for everybody else. So yeah, there's tons of people that are jealous out there.
Yeah. There was a
Marc,
movement.
you got to pile on that.
Yeah, Sergeant Major can definitely attest to this one, but there was a movement. So at the all right, we're already starting with the rabbit hole, but I love it. So at the Amtrak school, they had this big, obviously there's yes everywhere. And one of the things that the graduating class will say at the commencement of the graduation is they'll all yell yes. And then everyone's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And for those who don't know, it's you ain't tracks, you ain't shit. And so there was a concerted effort by higher ups to not be doing that at graduation because it was like inappropriate or whatever. But
yeah, well,
very unfortunate to hear.
Yeah,
very
Marc.
Unfortunate.
Well, and Marc, the more you try to get any Marine to not do something, the more they're going to do it, right? And so
That's so true.
No, yeah, I love it. And then the folks that go, well, that's a double negative, right? I'm like, you're a fucking nerd. Zip it. We love it. Yes.
Well, gentlemen, again, thank you so much for being here. If we can, so I mean, clearly we've established, we've pissed on the fire hydrant. We've established our territory. But sir, if you could just, both of you, but we'll start with Colonel Atkinson. Sir, if you could just tell us a little bit about where you're from, so how you came to this wonderfully glorious service-defining MOS, and then just sort of what you're doing now.
Yeah, Vic, well, first of all, I've served with you a number of times, and it's good to see you. And Marc Chabot is not only a friend, but he's a mentor for a long time. Marc and I first met when I was, Lieutenant Atkinson, and he was Lance Corporal Chabot, and we've kind of like the same thing with Sergeant Major LaHue, kind of been orbiting each other over the past 30 years, and talking about two phenomenal mentors. I know Sergeant Major LaHue's been on your show a couple times, and he's a closest friend as I could possibly have, like Marc, and a mentor. And think about that, Chabot and LaHue as mentors. It's probably the only way.
What happened to you?
Exactly right. And yeah, that's a great question. You really, but so no, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here with a fellow masshole, Marc Chabot. If you hear his accent, he's got it still. I don't know where mine is. So I grew up in Cohasset, Massachusetts, and it's a atypical American town, but a quintessential New England coastal community. And I was lucky to be born there and raised there, but insulated and isolated from the realities of the world, right? But raised by parents who taught service. and that we owed it to this great nation to serve one way or another. And I chose the Marine Corps at a very young age, about the time I realized I wasn't playing third base for the Red Sox, and so I started looking elsewhere. And I went to Boston College. I graduated from Boston College, and while I was at BC, I was in the PLC program, and I was commissioned through the PLC program. And it's funny, how did I get? I went to the basic school wanting to be a grunt, and I know a lot of people say that, but I really did. A lot of people. It's like other services, like, well, I thought about joining the Marines. Well, you didn't, though, did you? Um, so it's not like that. I really wanted to be a grunt, and we were hiking. A company was hiking out as a lieutenant, hiking out to one of the ranges, and I saw 3 Amtraks just tearing down a tank trail and just kicking mud, and one of the tracks, just for whatever reason, probably to show, knocks a tree over, and I'm like, that is fucking awesome. And I happened to be the guide, and I looked at my SBC, or yeah, my SBC. I'm like, hey, sir, what is that? And he gives me those are tracks. They're first to fight, of the first to fight, the whole spiel. First on the beach, they're deploying all the time. Caveat, as lieutenants, maybe, but anyway, I'm like, that was it. I was in love, and that's what I wanted to do. And I just put my head down and worked my ass off at the base school, and was very, very fortunate to get the MOS I wanted, because it doesn't always work that way. So that's how I landed in tracks. And then, not to drag this out, like anything else, in and out of tracks, I was a platoon commander and company commander down at second tracks, XO out at third tracks, in between, augmenting out as a MIT, and other things, to Iraq. I was the occupational field sponsor and advocate up at PPNO and Headquarters Marine Corps, so tied to the community. I was the CEO of the schoolhouse as a lieutenant colonel. So, just that touchstone place where we all go. The schoolhouse is where we all became trackers, no matter what battalion or what coast you're on. It's our tie back. So yeah, a long time in it, and then even as a colonel at McCitic, as you know, Vic, we worked together, and I was the director of Fires and Maneuver Integration Division, and the capability portfolio manager for Fires and Maneuver, and then you were down in the trenches doing the real work, and requirements for things like AAV and ACV and things like that, and so that's my tie to the community. A lot of time out as well. And so my bio's not the important thing here. Now I retired and honorably, and that's important to say, honorably in 2020, and I'm now a professor at the U.S. Naval War College up here in Newport, Rhode Island, and so found a way to get back to New England, and found a way to continue to try to contribute to national security, and trying to get the Navy on a war footing for the fight we're looking at, that's looming in the Pacific. So that's kind of a one around the world about me. Enough about me. Let's talk about me now. Let's talk about Marc. I'd like to hear what Sergeant Major got to say.
Yeah, Sergeant Major, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Hey, greetings, everybody. First off, Vic and Nancy, I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk about Marine Corps, yes, and this incredible effort that we call the Amphibious Tractor Memorial, which I'm incredibly motivated about. So, short story on me is, like John Atkinson said, born and raised in Massachusetts, small city called North Attleboro. My story is much different than John's. I was a very troubled youth, not up to doing good things, and I tell you, anybody who ever asked me why I joined the Marine Corps, I just said it's what I needed at that moment in my life. I needed some discipline, I need some structure, and I tell everybody that I needed the Marine Corps more than the Marine Corps ever needed me. So it's like God just put a hand on my shoulder, steered me towards the greatest organization on God's green earth, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. So how did I become a tracker? I was an open contract guy, and I could swim a little bit, so they put me through the swim line a couple times at recruit training, and then they yanked me out of line and said, hey, you need to go over here and go get in this line. And I didn't know what they were doing, because I'm just a recruit, but they were jotting down different things about them. So now, come graduation, I found out my MOS is the senior drill instructor told me, he's like, yeah, Chabot, that's your name, right? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, hey, you're going to be an Amtracker. And I was like, okay. So I had no idea what that was. And then the very next day, we did like what was called a career day with the different drill instructors would talk to the recruits about the different MOSs they were assigned. So I went up to the drill instructor who happened to be in 1833, and I said, hey, had no idea that the Marine Corps taught us how to drive trains. And he looked at me. He's like, you stupid fuck. He's like, it's an amphibious vehicle. You're gonna be going in the water. You got this MOS because you can swim a little bit. You dumb bastard. Da da da. So tuck my tail between my legs and learned a little bit about it. So, man, what we want to talk about? Just grateful to get assigned that MOS, to be raised at 2nd Assault Amphibian Battalion as a private first class all the way until I was a sergeant. That community, the brotherhood, the sweat, the tears, all the hard work. I could not have asked for an open contract to become indeed that. Everything that I needed at that point in my life was given to me. I used to make a lot of mistakes. I got an incredible amount of support. What a fantastic environment it was. Fast forward, I went to what was called the AAAV program next for 4 years. That is something that we'll kind of we'll touch on very lightly. One good thing did come out of that: the 30 millimeter chain gun that became a program of record used on LPD 17. So otherwise, my experience up there was very good, but unfortunately, it didn't work out for Big Marine Corps. And then I went back to Second Tracks to finish my time in the community. The proudest moment that I had was leading Marines in combat aboard AAVs, particularly through the Battle of An Nazariya with my brother Justin LeHue, lifting 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines. That was kind of the culminating moment for me for being an AAV guy. And then ultimately, I ended up going on drill instructor duty and then becoming a first sergeant, sergeant major. I retired honorably in 2020, and I currently work for Naval Surface Warfare Center as a liaison officer. And the proudest title that I have is dad and husband. Let's go.
Right.
Damn, dude.
Let's
go.
Me under the bus.
Let's go.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
That's
fucking
impressive,
microphone drop.
Holy shit.
These each of you could be your own podcast episode, a standalone. You guys have really impressive resumes, great stories, and great careers. I'm excited to hear more about that. But
Well, Nancy,
I know
stories we're not going to share with you. That would be a hell of a podcast.
Yeah, well, that's
we've got a
the one I
segment for
want.
that.
Oh yeah,
We've got a segment for that. We got
Over the Ton
Tavern
Tavern
Talks.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about this. All right, I'll sign. I'll zip it.
Yeah, but anyway, that's for another day. But I know today you came here to talk to us a lot about the Amphibious Tractor Association and the Amphibious Tractor Memorial, and maybe bring some attention to that for our listeners. So Vic, you want to start off the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. And oh, go ahead, sir.
No, Mark. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to preface that this is something that doesn't really have, I don't think, this visibility. It's definitely not within the public consciousness of the Marine Corps that this is actually happening. And for anyone who's been to the Museum of the Marine Corps, I'm not even sure. Obviously, the building and everything inside is absolutely phenomenal, first class, top notch all the way. But there's the Heritage Walk, and there is a ton of legacy and Marine Corps history and tradition that is along about that. It's about 3 mile stretch there on the grounds of the Museum of the Marine Corps. And you guys are working to sort of immortalize the Amtrak legacy and what we've done for the Marine Corps. I know we joke about it being a service-defining MOS or capability because there is no such thing. Marines are Marines, and we just do with what we can. But I mean, at the same time, when we look at where the Marine Corps has set itself apart and made itself something that Americans want instead of what America needs. It has everything to do with our amphibious capabilities. So you can't really talk about the Marine Corps legacy without having it inextricably linked to amphibious warfare, enforceable entry from the sea, and the Amtrak, the AAV, the LVT, the ACV are these things that make us so feared internationally. And you guys are working at. So can we talk a little bit about what an Amtrak monument is and what sort of the impetus was behind? Like, did you guys walk the ground and like, hey, well, there's no Amtraks here? Like, how did that all transpire?
Yeah, Vic, that's and my brain's swirling. So I'm going to try to, and you know, and other people that have Marines that have stood in formation with me know that it's a bad thing if my brain's swirling. No, so a lot of great things there. I'll start with the National Museum of the Marine Corps is magnificent, and clearly inside in on the quarterdeck there in the rotunda, the LBT-1 on the beach at Tarawa, on display, and then in the new section you've got a P7, and so the museum it's the MAGTF, and it's all the elements that come together and make the Marine Corps what it is. I do joke from time to time. I gave General Blackman, when he was the CEO of the Heritage Foundation, a little lip one day. I'm like, hey, sir, I walk in, this looks like the National Museum of Marine Corps Aviation as I walk around here. But no, they've done a masterful job, and obviously all of how the MAGTF comes together is vitally important. How we fight, it's how we organize, it's how we fight. But you're right. The LVT, the AAV is a service defining capability. And it's how we lift from surface, from ship to shore. It's our primary mechanized lift, and we're the only service in the Joint Force that has it. And I'm going to pause there because I know people are out there thinking right now ACV and a wheeled vehicle and that. Well, that's the one place where I will lecture a little bit. The ACV is an amphibious tractor, and what a lot of people don't understand is Amtrak has nothing to do with tracks or suspension. It's amphibious tractor, and the LVT-1 is an amphibious tractor. The P5 was an amphibious tractor. The P7 and its family is an amphibious tractor, and so is the ACV, wheeled or not. And that is the amphibious tractor for the Marine Corps going forward. And those young men and women that are crewing the ACV are alligator Marines just as much as Justin LeHue or Marc Chabot or John Atkinson were, and they're a part of this legacy too. So that's a huge part of this. So this isn't just about a monument. It's about making sure that the legacy that was born in Dunedin, Florida, with Roebling's alligator that saw its first intended use at Tarawa. The LVT-1 was used at Guadalcanal, and our brothers and sisters at Third Tracks were there. But the LVT-1, which is featured in the monument, is the vehicle we can all trace our roots to. And it was designed to cross the reefs. Its purpose was to cross the reefs, and the first time it did that was at Tarawa. But that's the legacy, and legacy matters. And so this is all about making sure that legacy endures. We want to educate all Marines and the public about this unbelievable legacy. We want to hand it down from generation to generation, just as the World War II guys handed it down to Korea. Korea handed it down to the AmGrunts in Vietnam. Marc and I walked in the footsteps of giants, the AmGrunts and the track battalions that served in Vietnam, whether they were AmGrunts or in the P5s. Beirut, all the way through the breaches of Desert Storm, the march up to Baghdad. That's our legacy, and if we don't carry that forward and hand it down, it's going to die. And we got to hand that down and make sure these alligator Marines and ACVs are as much a part of it. So it's time, and if it doesn't happen now, it ain't going to happen. And so I'm gonna wrap this up. How did we get started with this? Well, a good friend of ours, Kirk Mullins, came to Justin LeHue and I one day and said, "Hey, I was walking the Heritage Walk, and we're the only GC community. It's not really represented out there. Tanks got their stuff. I think between dip spits, I think Kirk said Tanks got their shit, and so." And the Heritage Walk some of it's about battles and some of it's about units, but there was nothing. And we're like, God damn, that is an injustice that needs to be corrected. And so we started thinking about it, and Kirk's like, even if it's just like an obelisk or something, I'm like, God damn, Kirk, we're not putting another obelisk in the national capital region. We got enough of that shit down there. And it's funny, as an aside, and Mark, I don't know if you were there, when we met with our sculptor in Quantico a couple of weeks ago, walking the ground. He's like, John, an obelisk would probably cost you more than what you guys, and what we're building is pretty sexy. But he's like, the granite work for an obelisk, it probably costs you more than what you guys are spending. I'm like, oh, anyway, just the things I've learned about building memorials, to your subject. The stonework often costs more than the design. So anyway, that Justin and I, and I've told the story before, but real quick, and I'm gonna hand it off to Mark. Justin Lehue Sergeant Major Lehue was getting ready to retire, and he said, "Hey man, you promised me you're going to take me to Boston one day, and I want to go." And so we did. I took leave, and we went up to Boston, stopped by Air Force Base up in Jersey. Retired my brother-in-law Justin gave a PME to the airmen, and you want to talk about people eyes like blowing out of their heads as he's giving a leadership in combat PME to airmen. And then we got up to Boston. I won't bore you on the trip, other than we sat down in my dad's dining room in Scituate, Mass, with my sister Peg, who's a graphic artist as a profession, and over a couple bottles of wine, maybe one. We'll just say one. Sergeant Major and I just kind of gave some background. Here's the history. Here's where we came from with Roebling's alligator through Tarawa's first use, all the way through in some of the history, and then some of the sea stories. And then some of this. Because being a tracker is more about, there's an attitude there, there's a swagger there, there's a can-do. Marines that really embody every Marine a rifleman, because we've done that, and we've been tasked to do that, and there's just something about us, and sometimes there's an egregiousness to it. Most of the time it's just an amazing magic of these young men and women that are alligator Marines. So within about 20 minutes of kind of giving that one over the world, literally on a cocktail napkin, my sister goes, "Okay, enough, stop. I think I've got a base idea," and we've got her original rendering that we'll do something with someday. It's what, if you go to the website, amphibioustractormemorial.com, you can see kind of the initial what it looks like, and it's the LVT-1 crossing the reef at Tarawa. We picked that for a number of reasons. One, I've never seen, even in photographs, images of an LVT crossing the reef. I've seen them in the water, head to the beach. I've seen them on the beach, whether destroyed or whatnot, but we've never seen one crossing the reef. And that's what that vehicle was intended to do, right? As I said before. More importantly, we picked the LVT-1 because that's where every tracker, irrespective of era, war, battalion, deployment, can tie itself back to Dunedin and the LVT-1, right? So we've had people, why isn't it the P7? Why isn't it the P5? Well, this is inclusive. This is about really bringing the community together and preserving and establishing and celebrating the legacy that started in Dunedin, Florida, the 30s, that got its first use. And Marines started operating the LVT-1 in 1941, that carries on today. And so that's why it's the LVT-1. This isn't about Tarawa or second tracks or second Marine Division. This is about the first intended use of a vehicle that we could all tie our roots to, just like our schoolhouse. We can all go back to our schoolhouse, and we can all go back to the LVT-1. So that's how we got to where we are, and what we're building with that. And we can talk about the association in another part. But I've talked enough for sure. Marc?
Well, yeah, Sergeant Major, if I may, what are some of your thoughts? Because we talked pre-show, you're on the board fairly recently. Prior to coming in here, I mean, what are some of your thoughts on why we haven't, we don't have a monument, or why this idea is just sort of surfacing over the past few years? My thoughts is that because Amtrackers are so tied to all, like what Colonel Atkinson was saying, as far as like the great battles, when we think legacy, we think warfare, we think victory on the battlefield, and Amtrak's are just sort of again, like inextricably linked to all those things. And so my thought is that having a monument or some sort of thing that recognized Amtrak's, that, well, it's already been done because we have Terrell, we have Iwo, we have the March to Baghdad, all these things. What are some of your thoughts on why something like this didn't come to fruition, or the idea didn't get thrown out before?
Yeah, I think some of it has to do with timing, because the National Museum of the Marine Corps is, a newer structure for the Marine Corps. So it isn't like it's been out there, for, decades. The reality is this, in my humble opinion, the importance of the amphibious capability that the Marine Corps possessed over all the other joint services, and being able to implement that, and more importantly, put it at a national level where I believe it belongs. So it's good that we have breakouts, throughout the country of little remembrances. We got, the Amtrak Museum out at Camp Delmar. Second Tracks is littered with, with historical vehicles down there that honor the legacy. But because of the importance of the capability and its place, throughout history, time and time again, whether it's World War II, whether it's the AmGrunts, whether it's Desert Storm, whether it's coin operations today, all of that deserves, in my humble opinion, to be memorialized at the National Museum of the Marine Corps. That's how important it is. Our community sometimes, because we embrace that underdog role, a lot of times we don't crave the credit. We just have to go out there, and we gotta, just a few of us have to go out there and just continue to beat the drum and just remind people how unique and how special this community really was. So yes, we're the underdogs. We're the guys behind the scenes doing all the work, but it is so friggin' important to do this. This is a reflection of everybody that is tied to the community. Retirees, whether you did 4 years, you reservists. If you put a wrench on it, if you squeeze the butterfly of a 50 cal through the Upguns weapon station, this is for everybody. It's for the whole entire community to rally around. And again, the same thing that they were doing on the LVT ones is the same thing that we were doing in modern day AAVs. 8 hours of preventive maintenance to do 1 hour of operation. We drop the infantry off, our day is just friggin' beginning. Part-time machine gunners, part-time maintainers, part-time communicators, part-time caretakers of our fellow infantrymen that are embarked upon these vehicles. Our MOS is so diverse and so unique and so special. That is the reason why this memorial has to get done. Anybody who walks down the Heritage Walk is going to look at it and feel an instant connection to it.
Sergeant Major, let me follow up on that a little bit and ask, what kind of a response are you getting so far from other ambulances?
As far as support from the community thus far, is that what you're asking, Miss Nancy?
Yes. Support for this project. What kind of support are you getting? How are people responding to it?
So good support. I don't want to. We have a ways to go. I will always lead out with that and say that we are not even close to the finish line yet. But I would say that we have, our donations are up. Our community engagement on social media is up. We have new people that are joining, monthly, and we got a lot of people that are asking a lot of questions as far as like how they can be helpful. We picked up numerous partners as well. So pretty excited about the momentum that we have. But again, I just got to be honest about it and say we do have a ways to go. We need all hands on deck to get this thing, completed and get to the finish line and get to Center Beach. We got to get there.
Yeah, Nancy,
do you have a target? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, Nancy, I just wanted to jump in if you don't mind. First of all, I was standing at the position of attention, with Marc's comments there for a minute. I was motivated as fuck, ready to get. And then you asked the question about fundraising, and I instantly deflated. No, Marc's 100% right. I did. Marc's comments are spot on, and I'll tell you, the spirit of the community is coming out, and so it ties to kind of both questions. The momentum that we've been doing this for 5 years, and the first couple of years it was slow, and getting the word out and getting information out, and frankly learning how to fundraise. And over the last year and a half, it's really picked up. And so just factual numbers, we're at about 40% of our goal. And so to put that in perspective, our goal is right now $550,000. Hopefully inflation goes down and may help us a little bit. And that's all in. I've got a note. Our artist and designer has donated her time and talent to this. So that's cost avoidance in terms of having to pay an artist and a designer to come up with this. And we've estimated, based upon comparisons, that's about between $600,000 and $750,000 in cost avoidance, which is amazing. And so that's a shout out to Peg Lee. Happens to be my sister, but it's not about her. It's not about us. She believes in this, and she's into this as much as a tracker is. But that's important. We're getting a huge deal here, which is helpful in tough times. It's tough to fundraise or run a nonprofit in a very contested environment. It's a busy space and a lot of amazing charity work being done out there that's out there. Economic times are hard, so the timing, trying to raise money when people are making choices about life choices. So we get it. We're very sensitive to it. But that said, like Marc nailed, the last year and a half, momentum's up. We're about 25% increase in donations month over month this past calendar year, and so that's good. We've had some corporate sponsorship. We know there's some folks corporate sponsors looking at it. We've got some corporate partners. We've got a lot of young Marines who run businesses that have partnered with us. We have a Sergeant Chris Rohr, who runs a winery, Lost Trail Winery out in Vineyard out in Ohio, and he's made and bottled a red wine called Roebling Red, named for Alexander Roebling, and it's got some of the art from the memorial. And so he's partnered with us. We get a percentage of every bottle, and it's a beautiful American Cabernet, and it's a beautiful labeled bottle. And you go to our website, amphibioustractormemorial.com, and you can link or Lost Trail Winery. My point is, the young Marines that did one term, did their 4 years to get out, they are fired up about this, and they miss their days in their hogs, and they miss the camaraderie. And so bringing them together has been a side part of this that's been so amazing. The number of gold mothers that I have met, Gold Star mothers that I've met, who want their son's name memorialized on our in memoriam wall, and that have donated or gathered for the Marines that served with that Marine that was killed. The number of relationships I've developed has been a side benefit of this. It's amazing. Marines that I don't know from Vietnam, of course, that I've, Marc, and we're in communication. So we're talking about the excitement of really bringing a community and generations of Marines together, and we're talking. It's not just we're on the phone at night with them. We're getting their ideas. We're consoling them. And they just, moms will call us. They just want to hear somebody mention their son's name. Platoons and companies have crowdfunded to donate to put either their unit name or a Marine that was killed in Iraq or Afghanistan on the memorial wall. And so there's that opportunity to make this really a living legacy. So it's huge. We're making progress. We're growing, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah,
Well,
this is
following up a little.
Oh, go ahead, Nancy. Yeah. You got to follow up. I'm
Exactly.
telling take us down something.
Following up a little bit on that, and something you said earlier about learning about the cost of materials and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, I'm here with the boring questions. What are some of the biggest challenges and things that you've learned along the way about how to build a monument, make a memorial?
Everything. One, fundraising and understanding that space, and frankly, how to communicate with corporations, understanding their timelines and fiscal priorities. And it's all kind of like, in hindsight, master the obvious. But one, I'm a Marine, and I don't like asking for anything, and I certainly don't like asking for money, but that's what we got to do. So I had to get over that, right? And with mentorship from like Justin LeHue, who's his nonprofit History Flight, he's so knowledgeable, learned so much. Marc Chabot, mentoring me, Brigadier General Mike Brogan, retired, mentoring me, folks inside some of these industries explaining how fundraising works or how they donate. And so that's been the hardest part. Like I've gone out, we have gone out. I don't mean to use we have gone out to almost every company that ever had any association with any variant of the LBT or AAV. And I'm not going to name any. And every one of them that's still in business has their charitable focus. And sometimes we're not in that V ring, and other times you've got to know somebody inside the company that nominates you. And even though this company is, significantly important to every variant ever made, we can't. So it's finding the avenues in. That's been interesting. Understanding their timing, how to communicate with them that makes them understand the importance. There's companies that we would think as trackers that we got to be the most important thing in town to them. Well, we're not. I mean, we're a rounding error, even though we're a significant community in the Marine Corps. And you got to get over the emotion of that and understand it's a business to them, and then find a way. Hey, but it is important to you. Do you not understand? We are partners in every vehicle that went down range. You were with us, whether it was a component or a technician, or I'm not going to name any parts because I don't want to put any company on the spot, but you went down range with those Marines, and your legacy is entwined with ours. And whether it's the aluminum from the hull or whatever, you're the rubber on the track pads to pick it. Your legacy is entwined with ours, and trying to get that. And we've had marginal success with that. The young Marines, like I said, the one termers, they have really carried us in terms of proportions of community. The Marines that did one term, and it's the most important thing in their lives. Even if they've gone on to do significantly important things, they go back and they miss it, and you can feel it. And then so that's one aspect, right? But fundraising is very difficult, the timing of it. I've learned a ton. Hey, Marc, when you say like sitting with Gareth Curtis, and if you want to check out a cool dude, Google Gareth Curtis. He's our sculptor. Sitting and listening to him and his vision and how he sees things, and Rick Klein, or Rick Burrows from Klein Memorials, who's our stone and landscape person, or Peg Lee, our artist, working with them and seeing them come together from the different perspective on the art side, and how this, from an idea, how does it really become what it's going to be physically, in that transformation, but keeping to the base idea and concept. That's been amazing. So, Marc, what do you got? I mean, there's so many ways and so many things we've learned, that how a bill becomes a law, so to speak. This should be on a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm only
one of the things I'll add, Vic. I'll add this real Vic before I turn it back over to you, is that remember, that all of us have other things that we're doing in our life. Like I said, dad, husband, primary job. So this is kind of collateral for all the board members. And additionally, the people that we're trying to get on board, to come on, they also, this would be a collateral for them too. But my thought is that if everybody can just take a small bite, right, collectively, we will reach our objective and we would get to Center Beach on time. If everybody just does a little bit, right? Especially if you have that emotion, that passion for the community that I know is out there. If they just a little bit, that little tiny bit of, of effort, that little bit of engagement, the little bit of donation makes a huge difference. So that would be the thing, is just, we always got to remind ourselves that this is indeed, something secondary that we are doing. But how important it is to you is how much, you pour into it. And I feel like, with John leading the way, with Justin, with Michael O'Brien, who's going to be appointed here soon as the association head, that they are indeed just swinging. I'm in awe of their efforts. I truly appreciate them, going all in on this. And it's been remarkable, to kind of watch from afar while I was on active duty, and then slowly integrating myself in this process. So that would be my pitch, is just if everybody can just do a little bit, great. John found the right sculptor, Gareth Curtis, who I sat down with. I'm also run a podcast part-time as well called Left, Right, Left, Keep Moving. I run it off the YouTube platform. And I interviewed Gareth and Peg, and we kind of talked about the memorial and design. But talk about old school, just a guy, you know, who just is very much a blue collar dude, very normal, old school processes, no shortcuts at all. We're talking cast-ins, you know, all the stuff that you know, Michelangelo and all these old sculptors have done, you know, way back centuries ago, is the same processes used today. So that's the other thing that I just wanted to just put out there to everybody. Those of you who have donated and those of you who donate in the future, know that this memorial is not going to go on the memorial walk and look like garbage in 24 months. It's going to sustain the test of time. It is going to be done with high quality, with good material, something that you'll be able to walk your grandkids by and say, hey, that's what dad did. That's what mom did. We served during this time. And it goes back to indeed just capturing the spirit of our community. And I think that this is going to be a perfect replication of that. And everybody's going to have a lot of pride in it. So don't be a studio gangster. When you walk by there, know that you had a part in it.
Yeah, I love it. If I
Nice.
get, before you guys get in, hey, Mark, spot on. I'm so glad you're here today. As as you know, guiding us, but this is an act of love. It really is. And you know, anything you love a great deal, there's times where, you know, it's not so fun. And Mark and Justin have had to, you know, talk me off a cliff a couple times, you know, once a quarter, because it's challenging and frustrating. But it is an act of love, and everyone that's doing this is doing it, donating their time to it. So, and that's important. But you know, one other thing, Mark made me think of it little by little. So one thing I've learned, this was an African saying as we've been going forward, that this old African saying that little by little, a little becomes a lot. And so that's something I've learned in this process where, you know, everybody does something that gives a shit about this, or was a part of this community, and whether they can, whether it's just passing the word. We know there's not everybody can donate. You know, $5 to somebody is they need to put that somewhere. We get it, and times are tough. We understand it, but passing the word, getting more people involved, and excitement, that will help us grow. And that's kind of how we've been growing, is word of mouth. And the momentum that we've seen, we're jumping in numbers in terms of followers on Facebook and Instagram. That's been going up steadily and fast, and that's great. The more contact, the more $10 donations we get from more people, we will get there. So again, little by little, whether that's spreading the word or a $10 donation, or whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, and this is the part I don't like about this, at the end of the day is we have to raise the money to get this thing built. Once it's built, Mark's spot on. The quality of the team we have assembled, the quality of material that the design calls for, and the design itself. I mean, it's going to be amazing. And all I can encourage, whether you're a tracker or not, is go to amphibioustractormemorial.com and check it out. You're going to see an LVT-1 crossing the reef at Tarawa, set up on with, you know, the waves splashing out, the wake in the back. You're going to see the infantry in the back, and you're going to connect with their eyes. You're going to see menacing alligators wrapped around the base, and they're unbelievable. And you're going to make eye contact with them, and they're going to be all the way around. So no matter where you walk around this vehicle, you're going to make eye contact with you know, a tracker on a machine gun, infantry in the back, or an alligator that's ready to rip your head off. And it's going to be stunning. And Mark said, I'm going to reinforce it. Gareth Curtis is old school. He's cool, man. You just want to hang out with him. He's just cool and wicked smart. And the team of Rick Burrows at Klein Memorials, and Peg Lee at Peg Lee Design, and Gareth Curtis, we could not have assembled and gotten luckier. So it's exciting, and we got to get this done. And we will get it done. And we're grateful for you guys having us on here to spread the word a little bit. And I hope folks commuting find this interesting, particularly those big fat checkbooks.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing is that, you know, when we had talked earlier, I came to realize that, like, yeah, I have no idea how these monuments get made. I mean, I assumed it starts with an idea, and then that idea just sort of, all of a sudden you have a, you know, stone obelisk, and like, oh, great job. But you know, all of these steps that go into it are truly fascinating to me, because you know, I think everybody can get behind an idea. But like you guys are saying, once it comes to like doing the donations, finding the artist, finding the sculptor, finding the location, working within other organizations' timelines, and then what is it going to be, and is it enduring, and then what kind of legacy are we leaving for those who were trying to celebrate, and all of these considerations, and then like you said, that this is also, a secondary job for all of you. This isn't something that you have the you're not billet assigned to these things, and it really is a labor of love, and so it's super impressive. I do want to articulate, because you mentioned it a little bit earlier, sir, but I mean, you guys are a 501c, as we are coming up on the end of the taxable year. Now would be a great time to make a contribution, because it can come off your taxes here as we start to, give our pound of flesh to old Uncle Sam. It's a great way to help, support a great cause, and sort of maybe take a little bit out of the coffers that are going to the big guys up the street.
Yeah, Vic, you're
Yeah,
spot
super.
on. If I may, yeah, we are a 501c3, Amphibious Tractor Association (LTD). You can write off your donations. We do have a swag shop, which has got some really cool coins that we designed, a hand-drawn lithograph that depicts the memorial coming to life, and you got to check it out. It's pretty cool. Donations for swag aren't deductible, but straight donations are, and we will provide you any documentation you need. But back to your point about how a monument gets made. I bet you every single one of those monuments on there has an interesting story to it. And I think about that as we go through. Some are really simple, but like there's one I wish I could tell you who, what organizations with, but it's a body of a Marine covered in a poncho liner on top of a very plain black wall, and it's simple, but it sucks the life out of you. And I'd love to know the story, like how that came to be. There's others you look at, you're like, it looks like a bunch of guys got together and let's get something done. And I'm not being pejorative. They got it done, and ours reflects our community. Like Marc said, it's not elegant. This thing's going to rip the soul out of you, and make you tear up and be proud of who we are. And we're not half-assing it in any which way, and we won't cut corners. And he said, but that story is an important piece. That how we got to where we are, it reflects who we are as well. So I love that part you talking about how every one of them's got a different story and a different reason for why they are. Last point is, most of these communities had existing associations, that the association was kind of the driving force for fundraising. It had an organization, architecture, billets, people doing that. The last standing Amtrak association kind of died out in the late 80s, early 90s. So we don't have an association. We're building one concurrently. So we're backing into an association while we're building a monument, using the initiative of the memorial to get people into the association. And like Marc said, Bill O'Brien just retired. Colonel Bill O'Brien has stepped in, and he's going to be he's framing out the association, from charter to what it's going to do. And the intention is, we are going to pay it forward. The purpose of the association will be, we hope, at the ground dinner or somewhere, like the other MOSs do. Best machine gunner, top operator gets an award at the ground dinner, like the other MOSs do. Our mechanics get recognized at the logistics dinner. The tracker, the operator side, don't. We want to provide needs-based or financial aid through the association. We want to bring the community together at the National Museum of the Marine Corps, annually, to bring the community out of Carolina, out of California, out of Galveston, up to where our monument is. And so it maintains a focus as a community, irrespective of coast or era. So this is not, this is pretty complex, what we're doing, what we're trying to do. We need everybody in, and it's like the belief and the support needs to be there. Is going to die an ugly death, and it's not gonna. We're going to get the memorial built. We're going to get the association stood up, and then we're going to hand it down, and we'll see what the next generation does with it.
Yeah, if I can just chime in real quick, Vic, before you start wrapping it up. the first thing I just wanted to say is that I think it's important, as us as a board, to be transparent and to actually it with along the process, right? So what I asked the sculptor to do when I was interviewing him, and we had some post discussions, was we're going to come up with a social media strategy to where we can actually show the development of the memorial, right? Meaning, so the cast moldings that he's doing, the clay, all the clay that he's doing, making the outside, how he pours, the different metals together. So Gareth has told me that he will indeed capture that stuff through picture, through short videos. That way we can keep everybody posted, because I want everybody to know that this is a real thing, right? That we're going to, not only are we going to get this done, but we want you to feel the excitement and the momentum as we're building to the semi truck arriving at the National Museum of the Marine Corps, and a boom lift takes it and then places that over there on the Heritage Walk. We want everybody to share that excitement and see that journey. And I think that's just a very important point. And I'm sorry if I said earlier, Mike O'Brien, my apologies. I just had a captain that I was really friendly with before I retired. This was Mike O'Brien. I apologize, Bill, if I addressed you as Mike.
Oh, don't worry about it. What Bill
Delete
O'Brien
that
gets,
shit, Vic. Delete that shit.
No, that's staying in. That's for sure staying in, because Bill O'Brien gets mixed up with so many people. He and I were in Afghanistan together. The rumor was going around, old Dwyer, that General Berger was going to be coming in to do his tours. That he was taking over for Marine Forces Afghanistan, or whatever high up billet at the time. And so the whole camp knew that General Berger was inbound, but nobody really had an idea. And so Bill O'Brien walked in to the mail room as we were getting ready to rotate out, sending stuff home, and this damn Lance Corporal sees him and goes, "Attention on deck," because he saw General Berger was coming into the mail room, and he was Bill was a major. We were both majors at the time, and he's just like, "Carry on."
A bald head is a bald head is a bald
That's
head.
right. It was awesome.
Yeah, Bill's a great dude, and he jumped on this. When he retired. And in fact, he fundraised at his retirement for the memorial, but he jumped on this, and I said, "Hey, I need somebody that's in and going to take this and stay in." And he goes, "Fuck yeah, sir, I got this stuff. I'm gonna, Bill. He's like, I'll beat people till we get this association built," or whatever he said. There was violence involved. I'm like, "You're hired."
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, oh, go ahead, Nancy. What's up?
I got a couple more of my boring housekeeping questions. Inquiring minds want to know. So first of all, did you get to select your spot on the Heritage Walk where this is going to be?
Well, it's funny. So when we took our design to General Blackman, who was the CEO of Heritage Foundation at the time, he loved it. And there was one rally point left on the original Heritage Walk. They're clearing a whole new section. It's going to be amazing. But they had one rally point left, and it's the confluence of three walks. It's the premier rally point, and what General Blackman said at the time was they were saving it for something, and he loved our design, and he reserved it for us. And we're right near Sergeant Reckless and a lot of other really amazing community monuments and memorials. But this is a beautiful spot, and so
I know that spot.
Yep, yeah. So it's the confluence of three walks, and our design is going to fit perfectly. Like I said, no matter which way you come at it, you're going to either have a gator staring you down, a Marine coming at you, or a 50 cal in your face. And you're going to be able to walk around this thing, and so it's pretty amazing spot that it's almost as if that we designed it to it. We didn't. It was designed, but it's a perfect fit. And then what Marc and Justin and Peg and Gareth walked the ground a couple weeks ago. Minor tweaks, but yeah, it's like we purpose built it to the spot. This is the confluence of a lot of amazing voodoo, I think. So yeah, that's the spot. We've got to continue to fundraise, to make progress fundraising, because it's the Heritage Foundation is going to hold it forever for us, but we're showing sufficient progress that I think we're in good shape there, but we got to keep going, or we may not be. But I'm confident and happy, and you could hear Marc's excitement with the momentum. We can feel it, and that's he's talking about that, the audio visual, showing what other people, what we see and feel, and we see changes to the design, or Gareth does something with a piece of clay that we get to see. Marc's idea of sharing that with everybody, so you can tangibly see and feel what we feel. We've got momentum. We're going to get there, but we need people stepping in little by little, all hands on deck.
And that brings me to my last question, which is, again, me with the boring questions. Do you have a target completion date?
Yeah, so I was warned not to put timelines out there. I can tell you that the timeline we're on right now. So we've entered into So we are going to have a scale miniature. I think, I don't know what the exact proper term is, by Memorial Day. And so it will be, Gareth Curtis is working on that right now. The board will interact with that a couple times over the spring. Once the board, this isn't one person back here making these decisions, and we've got a board, and people can go to our website and see who's on the board. Well, yes, that's it. Obviously, the Marine Corps Historical Division needs to say, yes, that's the design we approved. But yeah, so by Memorial Day, we'll have that. From there, Gareth, based on the time Gareth looks at, and frankly, funding. So Gareth has got a timeline, probably 2 years from there, just natural art process. And then we've got to get the ground done and all that kind of thing. So ideal, it'd be, 18 to 24 months from Memorial Day. Something like that. And then the fundraising is the other side of that. We've got enough money to keep this going, and we're going to fundraise in stride. A lot of folks won't commit to start bending clay until they have the whole amount. We've crossed the line of departure. We're pregnant, and so it gives us incentive to keep pushing. I'm confident. So that's a whole element of the momentum we feel, and the folks coming in, and again, the young Marines who have their small business that are partnered with us, and they're giving us a % of everything they make to get this done, and the officers coming in and donating and leading as they should. That momentum is getting kicked up. So long answer, as I always do, and I warned you up front about timeline. Ideally 18 to 24 months. A little by little, if people keep kicking in and helping us out, we'll get there. Hey, Marc, what do you say? Did I get anything wrong there, bud?
No, everything's on point there, except for the fact that it's impossible to predict, and set a timeline for an exact date for an unveiling. It'll be an in stride thing, but the beauty is that in today's modern day technology of social media, that we'll be able to keep all our donors and all our supporters up to date, with good solid timelines, and actually be able to demonstrate the progress. I think we owe our donors and owe our supporters, that transparency to be able to see this thing in stride. And that way they can just turn back the clock and get that excitement and get that passion for something that I know that they really enjoyed doing. And when they enjoyed their time in the Marine Corps within that yes culture. So I'm fired up, man.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, I'm really fired up, and the folks that are coming in are fired up. Once you get your fingers into this, you get excited because you're learning what's actually going on, and we're improving our communication as we learn and grow. We're done answering questions like, why isn't it the P7A1? Why is it the LVT? That's second tracks. I'm not donating because I was in third. I think we're past all that nonsense. And like I said, we are talking to Korean era folks that are together coming in, Lebanon guys coming in. Folks from all battalions, all eras, all generations coming in. Hell, we've got the ACV platoon that's going out with 15th MU. They're one of our biggest, supporters out there with Staff
Awesome.
Sergeant and they volunteered and did a fundraiser at the Miramar Air Show for us. And they called us and said, "Hey, can we go to the air show and fundraise for you?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you can. Go take that flight pay. We could use that." So that's the stuff that's exciting, and that's the stuff we want to share. And you can get a piece of that on our Facebook page. People chiming in because there's a lot of good banter there. And then check out what we got going on our website, amphibioustractormemorial.com.
Yeah, the mock-ups and the artwork.
check out the interviews on not to you guys aren't competitors. You're wingmen here. I think the interview that Marc has done with Gareth and Peg, I think, was intriguing. If you really want to kind of get an insight on their excitement, neither one of them are trackers. Neither one of them ever served. But their excitement, their knowledge, they're more fired up, I think, than Marc is, and that's hard to believe.
Well, we'll definitely link all that stuff in the show description when we release the episode. But gentlemen, I thank you so much for taking your time, especially with you guys being pregnant. I mean, to spend the time with us. I mean, you guys are just glowing. You guys are absolutely glowing.
I'm taking my prenatal vitamins, but it's out of pocket. None of that prenatal vitamin money is coming from memorial donations.
And we're the right community to be pregnant because we're so used to spitting out angry, tired, sick people all the time right out of our back ends, and then supporting them the whole time while we're carrying them. So,
oh dear Lord,
well played,
Yeah, Vic,
well played.
Vic, can I say one more thing before we wrap up, please?
Oh, of course, yeah, SgtMaj, please.
All right. So, to the entire Yes community, the first thing I just wanted to say is thank you for all your support thus far. Thank you for your generous donations. As Colonel Atkinson said before, it is a very competitive space, and we know that there's a lot of things out there that are important to you. So truly, to make it this far and to actually, sustain the momentum that we have, it is indeed because of, your belief in the community. So truly appreciate. And secondly, I would just ask all of you is every now and then it's good to kind of turn the clock back a little bit. Turn back the clock to, your time on those Amtraks and really, really think about all the special things that you did, not just within your vehicle, but when you operate out there as sections, as platoons. What you were doing was so unique and so remarkable. And I tell you, man, it warms my heart so much. And I just wanted to personally thank each and every one of you and the community, for making me being the man that I am today is in no short credit to the environment that was that 2nd Assault Amphibian Battalion, the leaders that I had, and that brotherhood and the spirit and the camaraderie that was there. It was impactful and it made all the difference in my life. So that's my parting shot to you guys. I love you guys. Yes to all of you. And hey, let's get this thing done. Center Beach on time.
Yeah, my parting
so
shot.
amazing. My God, like the microphone drops in this episode alone are just
brother.
Yeah, he's
man,
killing me.
I can never ever say that enough. I was so effing lost in life, and just the father figures I had, the big brothers I had, putting hands on my shoulders, walking me through things, tolerating my mistakes, the tough love. I wouldn't be where I am today without those experiences, without the community. So I can never say it enough. Before I ever if service ever comes up in a conversation with me, I will never revert to the fact I'm a retired sergeant major. That always starts with, I was an 1833 amphibious assault vehicle crewman, jack of all trades, master of none, 26 tons of fury. Fuck around and find out.
Hey,
oh
Vic,
man,
but I trust you're going to edit it before what Marc just closed out. One, I don't want to be that dickhead fucking officer that had to get the last word in after Sergeant Major, and I don't want fucking people rolling their eyes like, fuck, he shut up. When I think it's important, and Sergeant Major's talked about the community. It's not just the 41s, the 49s, the 33s, the 1803s. It's the docs, it's the communicators, it's the administrators. If you were in a track battalion or a tractor lash up, you're a fucking alligator Marine. You are a member of this community, and I guarantee you, for most of the people, it was probably the most impactful tour you did around, the greasy, smelly, dirty, operators and mechanics. But we, for example, we had a corpsman that donated. His platoon was crowdsourcing to put a platoon deployment up on the memorial wall. The corpsman donated the entire $1,000 for that platoon. He loved being a tracker, and he was so much a part of the platoon. To raise some money, he's like, "Fuck it." He doc dropped $1,000 to get him up on the wall. That's a doc who's a tracker, and that's how he thinks about himself. And there's communicators and administrators out there. Motor T. I know guys that were suppos in our battalions, and still every time they see me, they're like, "I fucking loved being in third tracks. I loved being in. You guys are the fucking best." And not everybody thinks that way, particularly the grunts. But we are special. And so if you could edit that before what Marc said, because his closeout was just closeout, but recognizing the communicators, the other folks is truly, it's important because they are a part of it as much as anybody else.
No, that's definitely well said. But gentlemen, again, but in all seriousness, thank you so much for your time. Really to get the word out. I think this is just to echo this. I mean, this is extremely important. I think the significance of it goes well beyond just having an Amtrak legacy, but I think it ties so much into this Marine Corps history and tradition and what we do for the Marine Corps, for the Joint Force. So it's all really great. Thank you so much. We'll continue to track your progress. You've got a home here on Scuttlebutt. Anytime you guys want to come on and give updates, please, by all means, give me a ring. We'll get you guys on. And yeah, I mean, there's totally a reason why my alarm was playing State of Massachusetts by Dropkick Murphys today. So I'm feeling it all came together. And so this is an awesome time. Thank you so much. We'll post everything in the show description. And Semper Fidelis, and yes.
Semper Fi. Legacy matters.
Thank you, Nancy and Vic. Appreciate you. Yes.
Hurrah.
Thanks for being here, you guys. Loved it.
The Marine Corps requires leaders of all ranks to have a deep understanding of war and the employment of force. MCDP-1 reminds Marines that the military profession is a thinking profession. Every Marine is expected to be a student of the art and science of war. It goes on to say that every Marine has an individual responsibility to study the profession of arms. Self-directed study in the art and science of war is at least equal in importance to maintaining physical condition and should receive at least equal time. The Marine Corps Association understands the critical importance of ensuring that Marines are as mentally ready for combat as they are physically ready. That is why we offer an entire page dedicated to wargaming on our website. We have recommendations for both tabletop board games as well as computer games. And for Marine Corps Association members, there is a discount code for war game design studios that you can find on the website. War games are a great way to immerse yourself in history and to put yourself in the shoes of the great leaders of history. Go beyond guided instruction and experience the thrill of wargaming. Check us out at mca-marines.org/decision-making-exercises/wargaming-2. That's mca-marines.org/decision-making-exercises/wargaming-2. Take your training to the next level.
Scuttlebutt is a production of the Marine Corps Association. I am William Truding, but you've also heard the voices or contributions of Vic Rubel, USMC retired, Nancy Lichman, retired Frazier. The opinions expressed in this episode do not reflect the official stance of the Marine Corps, DoD, or Marine Corps Association.